The Galactic Academy's combat assessment arena hummed with anti-gravity stabilizers as Emma Chun stepped onto the crystalline platform. Around her, 300 alien cadets from 17 different species watched with barely concealed amusement. The human stood barely 5 feet tall, her frame seemingly fragile compared to the chitinous bulk of the Krathian warriors or the multi-limbed grace of the Vexillian. Combat Specialist. Instructor Zolther, a towering Krathian with 4 eyes that gleamed like polished obsidian, adjusted his neural interface and addressed the assembly through the universal translator. Today, Cadet Chun will demonstrate human combat capabilities. As you know, Earth has only recently been granted provisional membership in the Galactic Coalition. Their world has been classified as a Class 12 Death World high gravity, aggressive megafauna, limited resources. A ripple of dismissive clicks and chirps echoed through the chamber. Class 12 was unremarkable. Most species hailed from Class 10 or Class 11 worlds. The real warriors came from Class 15 Death Worlds and above. James Park, Emma's only human classmate, stood in the observation deck with his fists clenched. He had already completed his combat exam the previous cycle, barely passing with a mediocre score that confirmed the galactic community's suspicions. Humans were soft, slow, and entirely unsuited for modern warfare. The other cadets had treated it as entertainment. Watching the Death Worlder struggle against training drones designed for adolescent Vexillians, Emma rolled her shoulders, feeling the familiar weight of Earth's 1.2 gravity that she'd carried her entire life. Here, in the Academy's standard 0.8 gravity environment, her body felt different, coiled, explosive, dangerous. She'd spent the last 3 months deliberately moving slowly, carefully, hiding the truth that James had been too angry to see. The examination parameters materialized in holographic text above the arena. Standard Combat Assessment Protocol. Survive 12 minutes against progressively difficult autonomous combat drones. Lethal force authorized. Medical resurrection available if necessary. Zolther's mandibles clicked in what might have been sympathy. You may begin when ready, Cadet Chun. Remember, there is no shame in surrender. Your species is simply not evolved for... Emma moved. The first drone, a sleek anti-personnel unit designed to test reaction speed, exploded into fragments before it fully materialized from the deployment portal. Emma's leg had snapped out in a devastating roundhouse kick that generated over 3,000 pounds of force per square inch, far exceeding the drone's structural tolerance. The arena fell silent. Zolther's 4 eyes widened as his combat analysis system struggled to track the human's velocity. In the Academy's reduced gravity, Emma wasn't just fast, she was a blur of controlled violence that defied every xenobiological prediction in the Coalition database. 3 drones materialized simultaneously, configured for mid-level threat response. They lasted 4 seconds. Emma's body moved with a precision that seemed impossible for a creature without cybernetic enhancement. She twisted between plasma bolts, her reaction time clocking at 0.089 seconds faster than any unmodified organic being in recorded galactic history. Her fist connected with a drone's sensor array, and the supposedly indestructible alloy crumpled like aluminum foil. James felt his breath catch. This wasn't the Emma he'd trained with. Or rather, this was the Emma who'd been hiding, conserving, pretending. The difficulty escalated. 5 drones, then 8, then 12. Military-grade units designed to suppress armed insurgencies emerged from the deployment portals. Their weapon systems hot and targeting algorithms fully engaged. Emma caught one drone mid-flight, used its mass as a shield against incoming plasma fire, then hurled it with such force that it punched through 2 other units before embedding itself in the arena's reinforced wall. The impact registered at 4.7 on the local seismic sensors. Zolther's hands trembled over his control interface. Impossible, he whispered in his native tongue. Her bone density, her muscle fiber composition, the oxygen efficiency of her blood. These readings suggest she's operating at only 60% of her theoretical maximum capacity. The other instructor, A Vexillian named Siltrix manipulated her console with 3 of her 7 limbs. Instructor, I'm detecting something unusual. Her adrenaline production is off the scale. Her pain receptors are being actively suppressed by her own neurochemistry. And her cardiovascular system by the founders, her heart rate hasn't exceeded 120 beats per minute. What does that mean? Zolther demanded. It means, Siltrix said slowly, that she's barely trying. The 12-minute timer reached its midpoint. The arena's automated systems, responding to the unprecedented performance, made a decision that hadn't been implemented in 17 years. They activated the Terminus protocol. A single drone materialized at the arena's center. It was sleek, black, and designated for one purpose: to kill Omega-class combat threats. Species that could wage war against entire planetary populations alone. Emma saw it and smiled. What happened next would be studied in xenobiological institutes for the next century. The Terminus drone, with its predictive combat algorithms and adaptive weapon systems, lasted 37 seconds. Emma dismantled it with a combination of strikes that demonstrated not just physical capability, but tactical brilliance evolved over millions of years of predatory behavior. She trapped its targeting laser with a fragment of destroyed drone, blinding it. She baited its plasma cannon into overheating with rapid directional changes that its processors couldn't predict. And when it attempted to retreat and recalibrate, she leaped a standing jump of over 15 feet in the reduced gravity and tore its central processing unit from its chassis with her bare hands. The arena fell absolutely silent as Emma landed. Barely breathing hard, covered in coolant fluid and electronic debris, Zolther's voice, when he finally spoke, carried none of its earlier condescension. Assessment complete. Cadet Chen, your classification? He paused, manipulating his interface with shaking hands. Your classification has been upgraded to Omega-class combat specialist. You are the first human to achieve this designation. Emma looked up at the observation deck, found James's stunned face, and winked. Then she addressed Zolther directly. Instructor, I think there's been misunderstanding about Earth's classification. What do you mean, Cadet? You called us a Class 12 death world. That's based on environmental hostility, correct? Gravity, predators, disease, scarcity? Emma gestured around the arena at the assembled alien students, many of whom were backing away from her instinctively. You didn't account for the real threat on Earth. It wasn't the environment that made us into this. She paused, letting the implications sink in. It was each other. For 300,000 years, the deadliest thing on our planet wasn't the gravity or the megafauna. It was other humans. We've been at war with ourselves since, before we had words for war. We didn't just survive our world, Instructor. We conquered it, then spent millennia fighting over the ruins. Zolther's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of deep distress in his species. He pulled up Earth's file and began reading the historical data that the Coalition's preliminary survey had included. Thousands of wars. Weapons that could sterilize continents. A species that had reached the nuclear age before achieving global peace. By the founders, he whispered. Your planet should be reclassified as Class 19, Siltrix interrupted, her voice hollow. Minimum. Possibly Class 21. They're not from a death world. They are the death. Emma smiled politely and bowed, a gesture of respect from her homeworld. If it's all the same, Instructor, I'd like to proceed to the advanced combat courses. I came here to learn, after all. As she walked toward the exit, the assembled cadets parted before her like water, their earlier amusement replaced with primal recognition. They were looking at an apex predator, and for the first time, they understood what Earth had really sent to the stars. James caught up with her in the corridor, still processing what he'd witnessed. Why didn't you tell me? Why did you hold back for so long? Emma's expression softened. Because if I'd shown them what we really are on day one, they would have quarantined Earth out of fear. We needed them to underestimate us first, to see us as weak, harmless. And now? She glanced back at the arena, where emergency crews were assessing the structural damage. Now they'll listen when we talk about peace, because they'll understand the alternative. In the observation deck, Zalthar was already composing his report to the Galactic Coalition High Command. It would trigger the most significant policy revision in Coalition history. Subject line: urgent immediate reclassification required for species designation, Homo sapiens, human. Current threat assessment, insufficient. Recommended action, treaty priority status addendum. They evolved in hell, learned to thrive there, and then built civilizations anyway. Approach with respect.